name is Chelsea Jenkins. I would like to welcome you all here today. We would like to have a special thanks to Mike Lawler, Teresa Conway, and Jason Bartlett for being here today. I am 17, a senior at Capital Preparatory Magnet School in Hartford, Connecticut. Also part of the group that has brought you here today, Speak Truth to Power, or STTP. We would also like to thank all our sponsors for being here and sponsoring us for this press conference today. They all include State Representative Best Buy, Jason Bartlett, the State of Connecticut Department of Education, the University of Connecticut School of Social Work, the Safe Harbor Project at the Department of Children and Families, the City of Hartford Commission of LGBT Issues, the Anti-Discrimination Coalition, Planned Parenthood, the Connecticut Women and Education and Legal Fund, Love Makes a Family, the Anti-Defamation League of Connecticut, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Educational Network, True Colors, and the Office of the Child Advocate. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. 7 months ago, STTP started talking about issues that LGBT students face on a daily basis. Most of the issues that we talked about had to do with harassment in schools, which kind of reminded me of a quote I read from Gandhi, which states, "You may not know what results come from your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no results." This is kind of why STTP was created, to address and make change for things that are happening for students all over Connecticut. Today we hope that you are all gain a more understanding that there is bullying and harassment for students who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, questioning, allied, and otherwise other. And there's students that are perceived to be LGBT as well. In fact, 86% of 6,209 students that GLESN, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Educational Network, surveyed in their national survey in 2007, that they were harassed in the last year. That's 9 out of 10 students in the past year being harassed in a place where they should be feeling safe. In fact, there's statutes in Connecticut that protect these students. However, faculty and administration aren't doing enough to enforce these. Yes, this issue is affecting the students. However, faculty, students, parents, administrators, and lawmakers can do their part to change this. We urge today that the schools start with their climate, changing it, but also backing it up so that there's educational program and training for administrators and teachers to be able to handle these issues for students so they feel safe in their own school. In conclusion, we hope that today will bring awareness to you all. That, like Gandhi said, that you will be part of the change rather than just sitting around and letting things happen. Because without action, there's no result. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Min Liu, and I'm currently a junior at Hull High School in Connecticut. And I would like to welcome Mike Lawler, Jason Bartlett, and Teresa Conway up to the microphone if they have anything to say. And I guess we'll begin with Representative Bartlett, or all three of them. Just kidding.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having us here, and thanks for coming. Hey, today is Hat Day, so I gotta just mention that if you happen to wander over to the chamber, you'll see a lot of legislators wearing hats. Danbury The city which I represent is known for manufacturing hats. We're all wearing hats, and in lieu of that, I have my Tampa Bay Devil Race hat on for my namesake. I want everyone to make sure that they vote for him for the All-Stars. He's got a .379 batting average. He was 3 for 3 last night. His name happens to be Jason Bartlett, so we got to honor him. But thank you, congratulations. That was a terrific video that we just saw, and I think it's great to see so many people here that care about this issue. I actually do work also for the National Black Justice Coalition, and this happens to be one of our issues on a national basis. Hate crimes and school bullying is something that we talk about on a national level, and in the state of Connecticut we have made a lot more progress in this particular area. We have some work to do, and my good friend and colleague Representative Lawler has been very active on this issue in terms of the legislature and in terms of pushing legislation. But many years ago, hate crimes and school bullying disproportionately affects African Americans, Latinos, people of color, are actually the highest in terms of being victims of this type of behavior. Back in 2002, a Sakia Gunn was a 15-year-old African-American lesbian, and she was murdered in Newark, New Jersey. And why was that? Well, she was approached by 2 males and was hit on by them, and her and her girlfriend said that they were lesbians. So her reward for that was to be stabbed in the chest, and she subsequently died. This is a landmark case, and it was one of the cases that we have tried to highlight because the mainstream media doesn't talk about a lot of those types of incidents. As we know, things such as that, especially in the communities of color, are overlooked and not spoken about as much and given attention to. Just in this last year, 5 middle school students committed suicide across the country. Why? Because they were perceived to be lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. Not that they were, because in 8th grade, I'm sure can say with certainty where they are in terms of their orientation, but not everybody can. And so really in this particular area, we know that sexual orientation and gender identification become issues, and that's really what it was, because a male might act a little more effeminate, or a female might act in what some might consider a stereotype. Well, they are then bullied or attacked violently, and because of what you're doing here today, hopefully we can start making a difference in our schools and in our society at large. I had the good fortune of adopting my 2 kids, who were my cousins, and their parents died, and it's been about 12 years. When they first came to my home, I was watching the video, made me think of it. They would, just in terms of the way that they talked to each other and within the house, like to say gay. Well, you're so gay, you know. And, you know, I just was not having that. And I said, you know, if you use that word again, or you say fag again, you are out of here. Now, I hadn't come out to them yet, and I didn't say what my particular orientation was, but I did lay down the law. Because within my atmosphere, within my environment, even amongst the loved ones, I have to have a safe environment. I need not to hear that type of language, even if they don't understand what it is that they're saying. And I think that that's what we all just need to do in terms of our own personal responsibility, is we need to affirm ourselves and let everyone know within our environments what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable. And that's really what you're doing today, because you need to educate our educators, our administrators, our legislators, and everybody, our media, and everybody who's playing a role about what's acceptable, what's not, and how it affects us as people. So thank you for your good work. It's great to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Representative Teresa Conroy, and this is my first term, so a lot of this is new to me. When I heard about this, I said, definitely I want to partake. You know, 35 years ago, I was in high school, and I have to applaud all of you for coming out here today. Back in those days, we wouldn't have meetings like this. We wouldn't have talked about it at all. You know, it wasn't so much that I saw bullying back in those days, but if anyone was identified as being gay, they were pretty much shunned. People didn't talk to them. And I just knew it wasn't right back then. And we've come so far along over the years that I have to say I'm proud to be a part of this community. I'm also a nurse and a nurse practitioner, and I volunteer for the Hartford Gay and Lesbian Health Collective. I think it's important that people are getting the health care. And when it comes down to bullying and harassment, that's just another part of health care. It affects people psychologically and down the road. I'm sure if you've ever had this happen to you or someone you know, you kind of replay it in your head time and time again and say, why did this happen to me? So it's important that as legislators up here, and it's also important that you as the youth take an active role in this. Sometimes our standards have to be kept a little bit higher, that we're a little bit more aware of how we're treating other people. Are we treating them the same way that we'd want to be treated? I think we need to move forward with having a zero tolerance policy on any bullying and harassment in the schools. We're all the same, we're all there to learn, and we all have something to give to each other there. So again, I'd like to thank you all for coming out here and participating. The video was wonderful, I appreciate it, and your speech was just, you're ready to come up here and be a legislator. So again, thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Mike Lawler and I represent the town of East Haven up here at the state capitol. Anybody here from East Haven? I'm not sure. Well, it's a long drive, I got that. Well, but I'm glad you came. You should know that we're actually having a legislative session today, and I hope when you're done here, those of you who can, I don't know if you have to leave right away, but you should walk over to the hall of the House. The Senate's in session as well, and just kind of get a feel for it, because it sounds like from what you were saying before, all you guys are planning to make a difference in life, and one way is through politics. And I think the three of us learned this lesson, that if you get involved and you speak up and you have the kind of work ethic and commitment to doing justice and doing things right, that you can make a difference in this world. And politics is one way of doing that, but there's plenty of other ways. And I think the message you should take away from today is that not just that bullying is a very real problem for people like us, and for many young people, for a variety of reasons, it's a very real problem, but it's not good enough just to get angry about it. It's not good enough just to say it's wrong. It's very important to change people's minds and change people's hearts. And in terms of making a difference, we have such a great model, especially for the LGBT community, here in our own state. You know, 10 years ago, when people talked about gays and lesbians in our state, it was an unknown quantity. People really didn't know what the topic was all about, and things are so much different today. And the main reason for that is not because a bunch of politicians decided to vote a certain way, because I think you all know we have marriage equality now in the state of Connecticut, and we've gotten out of our state laws all of the nasty things that were said about gay and lesbian people in our state. Actually written into the law a number of years ago. That's all out now. Just a few months ago, we took all that stuff, insulting stuff, out of our state laws. But the process by which that happened is a great model for all of you. Some of the folks who are here from Love Makes a Family. I see Carol over there, and I see Ann over here. You know, what they did to change people's minds and change people's hearts is just reach out to them and say, look, we're gay. We're gay families. We're gay individuals. We're gay guys and lesbians. This is who we are. This is how we live. We're just as boring as the rest of you. Some of us are crazy. Some of us are smart. Some of us are nice. Some of us are not so nice. But we're just like everybody else. Learn about me. Learn about my life. Learn about my family. And you'll see it's really not that much different. So when you see bullying going on, it's good not to tolerate it, of course. But it's also important to reach out to people and just try and talk to them. You're the best ambassadors of anyone, because you can tell people what it means in your life. And by coming here to the Capitol and just talking to people, you make that difference. talking to your families, talking to your neighbors, talking to your friends. You make a big difference. And it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. You guys are so lucky because you're coming of age at a time when attitudes have really begun to change. And there's a lot of old people like me that quite haven't gotten that message yet, right? So, but you can help speed this up. And my sense is when you're our age and you're influential, whether it's in politics or in business or in your own community, whatever it is, you will see the difference that you were able to make in your life. And it won't be long. 10, 20 years from now, things will be very different, but that is all on you. The people who came before you, we did our part. Now it's on you guys. But I'm very optimistic based on your turnout today that you guys will make a difference. And you make it much different for the young kids that haven't been born yet. So when they grow up and they go to high school, it'll be just the same whether you're gay or straight. It won't matter. People will probably be worried about other things. I don't like Red Sox fans, you know? That's never going to change, right? And when I went to high school in East Haven, the Yankee fans and the Red Sox fans, we didn't get along, we'll never get along. That's a good kind of intolerance, right? But what we're talking about here today will change, but it's up to you to make it change more quickly. So thanks for coming, and when we're done here, please come over to the Capitol, and we'll be there. We'll introduce you to people. We'll show you around, and you'll get the bug, and I think you are going to make it up here very soon. When are you going to be 18?
Next year.
So you can run in the next election. Go for it. There you go. Thank you, guys. We have to go vote and stuff, so we got to run back to it.
Before they leave, I'll give another round of applause for such great speakers. So, again, my name is Min Liu, and I will be facilitating and introducing all the speakers today. And I first became involved with Speak Truth to Power because I felt that the disproportionate voting towards the LGBT youth and their allies was unfair and harmful to the educational climate. And because Love Makes a Family, whom I previously volunteered with, recommended me. So I would like to introduce our next speaker, Grady Keith. He's a 19-year-old from, a 20-year-old actually from Brantford, who was recently elected as the youngest person ever in the state of Connecticut to any public office. His accomplishments have been featured in magazines such as, and newspapers such as Time Magazine, the New York Times, and the Boston Globe. And here he is now.
Thank you all very much. I really want to thank everyone for coming out here today, especially the kids that we have here. All of them are worthy of their own headline. This is a very brave and a very bold thing that we're all taking part in here today. And it's this that we don't see enough, which is young people standing up to change the community for the better good, because some people just don't get it yet. Like what was just said, I was elected last year as the youngest elected official in the history of the state of Connecticut, youngest elected official serving in the nation today. I was elected at the age of 18 as a senior in Brantford High School. But things weren't always so easy, and I met many of the press members on the campaign trail. We worked greatly together. But a story that wasn't covered was a story that happened to me 5 years earlier. When I was in middle school, 8th grade, I was on the lacrosse team, captain of the defense. I was a kid whose lunch table was always full, whose friends were always running up to him to talk to him the second he walked through the door. And then one day, after a lot of thought, I realized that I couldn't lie about who I was anymore, because lying about myself was breaking me down more and more each day. It was suffocating me. So I came out of the closet realizing, as most people do, that they're going to lose some friends along the way. Not everyone is always going to agree with you or accept you, especially at that age, at a time where Eminem songs were an anthem to people, where fag and gay were regular words. Those regular words became my name. My name was taken away and turned into a punchline. I'd respond to faggot, queer, homo, gatey, whatever they could think of, they would throw at me. And at first it started out as just whispers and taunts. It started out then to become letters in my locker, which became a personal mailbox for hate. And then one day, after school, a group of people who my whole life I had called friends, team members, attacked me in my locker bay. They cornered me and kicked me down, screamed faggot at me, spit on me to sign their work, and then the next day acted as though it had never happened. The administrators were not naive to what was going on there. I would talk often with them, be called into their offices, and while I was in their offices, the class would have discussions about me, to discuss what was going on. But no help was being offered to me. Administrators told me that I should take back saying that I was gay, that we didn't want to risk me being hurt anymore. So I should say it was a joke. I should say that who I wasn't at all who I was. Now, through a lot of time, I've come to forgive those administrators, because at the time in which this happened, they had never dealt with anything like it. They didn't know what to do. So you can't blame them for that. But the reason we're all here today is to have this conversation, to talk about how we change that. How teachers and administrators are there to lift the student up who's been beaten down in their locker bay, and to give them a hand up, as opposed to pushing them back, saying, change who you are. The only thing that needs changing is the way in which schools handle this problem. The last election, the election of President Barack Obama, is an election that was started by young people in Iowa, who decided to stand up and go caucus for a man who many said they didn't know any better when they were starting. They didn't know they could raise money online. They didn't know they could beat the inevitable by knocking on doors. And now he is our president because young people took a stand. What we're doing today is we're taking a stand and saying that America has spoken and it's time for a change. People are dying. People are waking up just as I did years ago, wishing there was something different, praying to God not to wake up the next morning. That isn't right in America. No one has the right to stop another person from their pursuit of happiness. And no one has the right to put hate on someone because of who they love. Love is the purest thing in the world and is the one thing that we all must celebrate. And we must celebrate the love of the ones we are with. You know, it's time now that we get serious about this, keep the conversation going, and turn the conversation into solutions. It's time that we heal the hearts, untie the kids from the fence, and we begin to make the change real. Because it's one thing to talk about it, but when we leave these doors, you got to realize that somewhere in this state and somewhere in this nation, there is another kid being kicked down into his locker, being called faggot, a word that no one has the right to use unless they have heard it called, unless they have heard it been yelled at themselves. And only then would you realize how inflammatory a word it is when that is your name. We need to lift people up now, and we need to begin the healing process because this is the time to do so. We can't afford another life to take itself or another teacher to tell that life that the life they live is wrong. If we had teachers or administrators that told people they shouldn't be who they are, we wouldn't have Barack Obamas, and we wouldn't have Hillary Clintons. We wouldn't have these people who are the leaders of our nation today. And I truly believe that all the people you see in this room are going to be the change that we all believe in and are going to be the ones who change the nation tomorrow and the next day so that my children, their children, your grandchildren don't grow up looking over their shoulders in fear because of who they love or because of who they are. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker will be Hannah Bokikio from Naugatuck High School. She's a 17-year-old senior.
I love you, Hannah.
I love you too. Hi, I'm Hannah Bokikio. I'm a senior at Naugatuck High School. I'm here today to speak to you all about the abuses that the GLBT youth suffers. I myself in my freshman year was beaten down by a group of boys every day at lunch. And every day they would scream "dyke" while beating me. And even though there were security on staff in the cafeteria, because it was a GLBT issue, they ignored it. One of the students that had been beating me during lunch decided that that wasn't enough, that he needed to beat me outside of those occasions. He would hit me in the hallways. He would push me on the stairs while saying, "God hates you." When I finally couldn't take it anymore, because I had stopped coming to school, I'd been skipping classes, been avoiding hallways, I finally said something to the administrators, and they wanted to immediately just suspend him because they thought that was the easiest solution. And I said, no. Obviously, he's lacking some sort of education. It's not that he hates me so much as that he's naive to the fact that everyone is an individual, and no matter gender or lack of label, everyone is a person. So I asked the administrators that I could sit down with him and just talk to him and ask him why. And they finally agreed, and I did sit down with him and I said, "Why would you abuse me this way?" And he said, "It has nothing to do with you, and I wasn't targeting you." And I asked him, "Then why do it at all?" And he really didn't have an answer. It was just that it was something to do, and it was because he didn't understand. This experience led me to start speaking to the incoming freshmen in all of their health classes. And every year I have a panel of GLBT youth sit in the health classes, and we are asked questions. We answer questions and help to alleviate some of the misconceptions and help to alleviate some of the lack of education. This not only helps GLBT students become comfortable with who they are in the building, but also helps the incoming freshmen to know that even if you are a GLBT, we have a support for you. We're here for you, and it's okay to be you. I would like to urge all of you to raise awareness, to raise respect, and to further the education of the heterosexual youth. And not only the heterosexual youth, but the homosexual youth too, because I think a lot of us, even sitting here in this panel, are afraid sometimes, even in our own towns, in our own schools, in our own hallways. And it's wrong, and it's more than wrong, and we all know it, but we have to stand up and do something about it. Thank you very much for coming.
Our next speaker is Marisha Mills from East Hartford High School. She'll begin by reading a poem.
My mind and heart are so tired. My soul is in awe. This depression, it drains me, but for some reason it keeps coming back. It's kind of like a bad habit, something I just can't kick. I want and I need to know how it feels to wake up and wish I didn't. My scars, they go more than skin deep. Whoever put me in this place in my heart, I wish death on because I don't deserve this. My mind tells me that I'm better. I just wish and hope that my heart will fall in place. Yesterday, I wrote my speech and I read it to a practice group. And somebody on the panel told me that I needed to be more detailed in why I wrote this poem. And I didn't know if I should be more detailed and tell everything that happened so you guys could really get it. So I did. And I sat home last night and I wrote to tell you guys. When I wrote this poem, I cried all night. And I couldn't stop crying because that day, I was walking in the hallway with my girlfriend. We were holding hands like normal couples do. And someone said something and it hurt really bad. They told me that God didn't like me. I was going to hell and I was going to burn. They told me what I was doing was disgusting. And I didn't quite understand why it was so disgusting to love somebody. That's what my heart felt, love. And it hurt. He told me that I was gonna fucking burn. He told me one day that my mother would never accept me. My mother doesn't. And I never thought that this would happen in my school that I go to every day to learn. And it hurt. No one touched me, but I was bruised, not from the outside, but the in. This is what happened in the hallways, my locker rooms, cafeterias, to and from school. That was the best place for them, was to and from school, because bus drivers never really paid attention, and I never understood. And it was hard. They would just say that they were just speaking their mind when they said all these things. And I would always say that words can be devastating or it can be uprising. You control them, you make them what they are. They can be rewarded or punished, either way. But when it came to these students and their words, they were never punished. They were just let go as if it was nothing. And it hurt because when I see other people in the hallways and they were in their normal relationships, no one would say anything. But if I was to kiss my girlfriend, if I was to hold her hand, I'd be bullied and ridiculed. I just didn't quite understand it. And I'm looking at everybody and I need you guys and I want you guys to help us, my whole panel, to make a change. I want you to help us, to help others, to help others, to help others. Thank you.
Also from Capital Prep is our next speaker, Joel Cheatham. He is a future leader in his GSA, and well, welcome him.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joel Cheatham. I'm 16 years old, and I currently go to Capital Preparatory Magnet School. Our school has come very far in the short 4 years that it's been around. We're a social justice school, and that's our mission statement. We're supposed to be a school that protects people who don't have a voice. And even with that, we still have problems in our school. I've been going to the school since I was in 7th grade, and I'm a sophomore now. In middle school, it was a bit hard. All the time I would be harassed about my perceived sexual orientation, whether it was being called fag or queer, homo. They would do it just about every day, and that was my 7th and 8th grade year. They would make fun of it like it was anything else, like it was just a cruel joke. In high school, in 9th grade, all there is now is just attention. It's something that's seen, but it's never heard. Everyone just seems to bask in ignorance, really. They seem to blatantly make fun of it, just like it's something else, just like it doesn't matter. Like GLBT don't matter, and that's a problem, especially in the socials, everyone involved in it, to make our school better. And I would sure hope that everyone else could help us all out too. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Natasha Martinez from Crosby High School in Waterbury. She is a president of her high school GSA.
The silence well known. From a very early age, we are taught to keep things hidden. To the darkness, talk of issues are forbidden. Silence says the word at night within our dreams. Silence is what we are taught when things are bad and mean. Can we truly keep quiet and hide all of the pain? Silence says the world, silence is the game. If you do not participate, you will truly lose. But through the silence, what do we intend to prove? Voices from the shadows are lurking in the air, yearning to cause a change in hearts of people everywhere. Silence is not the answer. Silence is not the key. Silence will be the demise of the world, plus you and me. We need to bring into the light the affairs that are not well, and hopefully today you will listen to what we have to tell. My life is poetry and literature. That's how I speak. Hello, my name is Natasha Martinez. I'm 18. I'm from New York. Currently reside in Waterbury. Go to Crosby High School. Knew that I like women from a very early age. Estimate around 9. Probably before that. My mother knew. Just didn't tell me. I came out to my friends first, which for everybody else was the first obstacle. Didn't turn out as well as I thought. I lost every friend except 2, which still are around today. And that's a long time. But others called me names and threw me against lockers. Nothing serious actually never happened to me. The word dyke actually caught my attention a lot. It's actually verbally used a lot. And it kind of hurts more, I guess. But after a while, I just didn't pay attention to it. I still hear it now. And I'm well liked at my school. However, all the abuse went unnoticed. Teacher said that it was just a phase that I was going through, as well as my parents. Well, man, that's a lifelong phase. There's just no such thing to me. It was coming to me when others thought that me coming into myself was probably confusing for them because they were afraid of what I was going to be and if I was going to influence their life. But they were just scared of being themselves. I had no such fear. The school did nothing. They all hid. They were scared also. Now, when I got to high school, that was the big test, right? I got into my freshman year at Crosby High School, came in November. Everybody knew me. I was the lesbian. You get all the attention, right? 2 teachers witnessed an altercation that I got into. They said and did nothing. A boy said, damn, all these gay girls keep stealing all the girls. All right, so you're mad. Move on with your life. I hate gay people. He hated me. Without knowing who I was or what I was like and how my personality was, he hated me. Hate. The strongest word of anger used against me. How did I hide my pain? I got angry. I used anger and violence, which, with a long time, I come to realize didn't help. Hit everything and dealt with nothing. It didn't help. And just last school year, myself, a friend, and a teacher decided that we needed to make a change. All right. We worked really hard to initiate the GSA that we now hold. And since then, there's been a drastic change in Crosby High School and in Waterbury itself. 3 people before me tried to initiate GSAs in the other 2 high schools and got shot down. An intern and a teacher, but a student. A student was the key. And I did not do it on my own, so I did not take full credit. But it's amazing the things that we've seen this year. We did a day of silence, and during breaking the silence, the last 2 periods, we've come with more positive than negatives. What's better than that? That the school has come to realize that we're not different at all, that we're just the same as them. We're not different people. We live in the same air. We breathe it all. We love just like everyone else. We're not animals. We could be, but we're not. We have done a lot in Crosby. And actually, there was a GSA before ours that did nothing. So what was the point? They stood there. They made money, don't know how, don't ask me. They made money. They spent it on pizza. How does that help? Don't know. It just didn't make any sense. This year, we raised so much awareness, and I'm really proud of it. I've given like 50 speeches to my little GSA, and they all love it, but it's okay. They listen. They like change. And next year, I'm pretty sure they'll make enough change even when I'm not there and I'm off in college, because I believe in them. and they believe in themselves, and that's all they need. My teacher is very proud of us. The principal, I'm pretty sure, is really proud of us. She loves us. She loves everyone. She should. I could never imagine that with the help of some friends, that we could have made it this far. And to be here today is even better. To represent not just my school and my town and the state itself, but that the whole world could be this. That we could change it completely. You know, since the beginning of the year, the club's actually grown. We have more allies than we do actual gay people. That's actually the fun part. Right? So they all come and they give me more ideas. And I appreciate it. Because who would have known that the people that used to hate me 3 years ago now work for me? Go figure. It's all true. Last year, I used to get called all those names, you know, thrown up against lockers and stuff still. Yeah. Guess what? I'm editor of the newspaper, president of 2 clubs, and I'm stage manager of my school. So now what? They're all down there. So now they all kiss my butt. It's all fun, it's all fun. But the abuse is gone now for me, but it's still there for other people. People still come up to me talking about, well, this person did this to me. And I'm like, for real? That doesn't happen to me. But I stand up for myself. And we need to stand up for everyone, not just ourselves. That's all I'm saying. With the poem, with the speakers, with this panel, with this whole thing that's come together, that has worked so hard, we're here to make a change. Let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. That was fantastic. Okay, our next speaker is Rosemary Arsenault. She is a 17-year-old transgendered woman who came out 2 years ago.
Wow, there's more people than I thought. Hi, I'm Rose. I'm from Southern Connecticut. I just found out I was doing this yesterday, so I'm not really prepared. But like everyone else said, it's ridiculous how much bullying is going on in the schools. Before I came out, I was out as a gay male, and I was assaulted once, threatened many times. I would have to stay after 1-2 hours at school just so I could feel safe walking home, which was 2 blocks away from the school. Eventually, it got so bad that just going near the grounds, I would end up having an anxiety attack. I was sent to the hospital from school a couple of times and then put on homebound. That did help, and the beginning of this past year, they decided to try and start me back in school. I didn't go 2 hours without hearing insults and people talking about me behind my back and getting stares and looks. And then for the next couple days, I just walked in the front door, out the back, and the mile and a half back to my house from the new school. Now I'm back on homebound, and now my freshman year when all this was going on, I did horribly. I failed 3 of my classes. I ran way behind on my credits than I should have been. Since then, I have caught up on all my credits. I am now getting A's and B's instead of D's and F's. And instead of talking about quitting school and just getting my GED or finding a job, I am now looking at colleges, because now I do feel safe. But a lot of people don't. And if someone asked me if we gave you more protection or something like that and said, would you go back to school? No. Just because I would feel physically safe does not mean I would be safe. I can't leave my yard without someone with me and feel safe. Yeah.
Our next speaker is Adriana Rodriguez. She's a 10-year-old fourth grader from Thomas J. McDonough School in Hartford.
I love you.
I'm too short.
Go for it.
Hi. My name is Adriana. I go to Thomas J. McDonough School, and I am being bullied. I've been kicked. I've been punched just because my mother is a lesbian. I don't want to be kicked, punched, bullied, but since my mother's a lesbian, I am. And I wanted to stop. So one day I came to my mother's old friend who now works in my school. I went down to her office full of tears. She called my mother, and my mother had to come and pick me up. But there's still things going on in my school that it's not only me, I want it to stop. And so somebody called my friend names, and I told them to apologize, and they apologized, but I still felt in a way that it was me. And I told them, what if it was you? You wouldn't like it, would you? And I am being bullied, and I don't like it, and I want to stop. And all the people on this table, circle, are trying to stop it. And one day, we'll all be heroes.
Okay, our next speaker is Joseph Elzey from New Britain High School. He is currently a 16-year-old sophomore who is originally from Mississippi.
Hi, I'm Joey, and from a very early age, I always knew I was different, and it actually wasn't until about 4th grade till I knew there was actually a word for my difference. That word was faggot. I heard it in the hallways, in the bathroom, I heard it everywhere. And it was really just, boys just playing with each other, teasing, and it didn't seem to bother them. But it did bother me. When I heard how it was described, how a faggot was described, I knew that one day they would be talking about me. And it led to all sorts of problems, like, my mom had me on all these different drugs for ADD, ADHD, bipolar, all these different diagnoses. And it wasn't any of them problems. It was the people at school. I didn't need all them drugs. I just needed I needed help because nobody seemed to care. I was victim of daily harassment, and I was treated like a yo-yo. My mom and my dad had split up when I was 6. I was always being pushed between them. My dad, my mom, my dad, my mom, and half the time I wouldn't even know if there were official court documents in it. They just either didn't want me anymore or wanted me because it was convenient for them. Right now I live in an unsupportive house, and my only escape is the GSA at my school. I believe the mere presence of a GSA in a school can help prevent suicides in LGBTQ youth. And it's very important because homosexuals are everywhere. They're everywhere. Every country, it don't matter who the leader is, what the leader's beliefs are, they're everywhere. And without resources for them, then it just doesn't make any sense. If you're leading a country and you don't help your own people, why lead the country in the first place? That's why we're here today, to help make change. A few weeks ago, I was in a concert at Six Flags, and Lady Gaga performed. Stefani Joanne Angelina Germanata. She said, while on stage, in the middle of her performance, she reached out to all her people that she most influenced, and she said that we all need to band together to legalize gay marriage. For someone who has so much influence on other people to be able to say that and get the response that she did, it was phenomenal. And seeing as how we can all come up here and make the same changes that people in positions of power can make, that makes us pretty powerful. So, originally being from Mississippi, the stereotypes and all the threats from the KKK and everything, it toughened me up. And even though my experiences have toughened me up, and I can take an insult as if I were made of rubber and it would just bounce off of me, I can't make light of this situation. It's just astronomically important that if we don't come and speak and try to make a change, then who will? You can sit around and wait, for our leaders, Obama and all these people to do it for you, but it won't work. You have to come up here and do it yourself. You have to support our leaders with our own words. So these words, faggot, homosexual, queer, they do hurt. And they have no place in a school, in a hospital, in any kind of place where you'd find adolescents, and especially influential adolescents. We need to set the right examples. Thank you.
Our next speaker is also from New Britain High School. His name is Willie Mavila, and he's a 15-year-old sophomore.
Hello. I'm 15 years old, just like he said. We're in high school. As I was growing up, I always knew I was different. I always saw something different in some people in my family, like my mom. And around 4th grade, I'm pretty sure it was 4th grade, not completely sure, doesn't matter. My mom brought home a lady I didn't know, and I saw them kiss. Right then and there, I knew that's what's different with her. She's not like every other couple. She doesn't go out and find a guy to go out with. She went out and found a girl. In around 5th grade, I noticed I didn't like girls. I like guys. That's okay. People call me fag, homo, all that crap. It doesn't matter. And I'm about to share a story with you that really hurt me. But it's what leads me to be here today. Once in biology, I was talking with a friend. A guy decided to call me a couple of names, which influenced 2 other guys to start calling me names. As I'm sitting there being called names, none of my friends helped me, which hurt me more than the names. As the class went on, the comments went on. It still hurt. Before the bell rang, I had my stuff ready, everything was ready. Right when the bell rang, I couldn't get out of that class faster. I couldn't run down the halls faster. It hurt me a lot. Ever since then, I used that day as a driving force to stop what you would say gay bashing, bullying against gay people. I want the words, the offensive words like fag, homo, dyke, all those words to stop. Erase them from the mouth, wash them out. And all I want is the teachers to actually do something about it. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is also from New Britain High School, and his name is Joshua Ortiz.
I choose to live openly gay. I choose not to hide who I really am, and I pay the price for it every day. I hide my face, avoiding conflict by keeping to myself. I blend in with the crowd, and for as long as I can remember, that's been my normal. It only takes one person to ruin your day, your week, your life, and in an instant, anyone can turn against you. Walking through the halls of New Britain High, I am harassed daily. I walk as close to the wall as possible to avoid being noticed, to protect myself from verbal and physical assaults. I look down, avoiding eye contact, even with those who might be a friend. No one really helps, because they don't want to become targets themselves. Teachers who overhear me being harassed ignore it. They play blind, deaf, and dumb. It's as if they're leaving it up to me to deal with harassment because I choose to be open. I've been called the face of sin, a queer abomination. And for as long as I can remember, I believed them. Now that I hear it more often, I can ignore them. Not completely, but I can ignore them more. My confidence is minimal. I wish people could help, but there's only so much anyone can do. You can't change others' opinions. You can't change their behaviors. And even though there are supporters, they can't stop the harassment. Can't stop the looks, the comments, the isolation we are subjected to every day. I don't know the answer. They say knowledge is power. Well, our stories are a start. Thank you.
That was the last of our speakers, and I'd like to open the floor up to questions. If anyone has a question to ask to the panel or an individual speaker, that'd be fantastic.
I'm a co-faculty advisor for a brand new GSA in Ellis Tech High School in the northeast section of Connecticut, and so we're brand new, and we need some advice on how to actually empower our students. We have about 15 members, and what we really want to know is sort of a roadmap or a game plan on how to get started on making change in the northeast section of Connecticut, where intolerance runs high and it's desperately needed. So I sort of open it up to the forum to throw out ideas for us on how to get us going. Thank you.
Okay. I think Joey would have to answer. Joelle.
You can also speak from your seat too if you want. Just by pushing the button.
Oh, okay. Pretty much, having started a GSA with Chelsea and another teacher, I do know how one would begin causing awareness. You should try to focus more on something, I guess, word to mouth. It's worked for our school, but then again, we're the second small school in Connecticut. You should probably have your members post flyers. You should talk about events. You need to collaborate with True Colors and maybe other high school GSAs. I would be actually very happy to collaborate with your GSA, considering that I will be taking over the GSA when Chelsea leaves and graduates. With that being said, you should pretty much get the word out to students and also talk to your teachers, because if students see that the teachers themselves are getting involved and they're being more active, then the students will sort of follow.
I have a question for you real quick. You're trying to create awareness in Eastern Connecticut, like the whole part of the state, or just in your school?
Starting with our school, then moving out to our community, and then hopefully the northeast section.
Okay.
But we have to start small.
Yeah. It's good to start in the school, but definitely getting involved with True Colors, Love Makes a Family, contacting people in the media will definitely get your word, like your name out, connecting with other GSAs who have already established themselves, and just making an impact starting in your school by doing events like the Day of Silence or Freedom Mary Week or Ally Week. It will let your school know that the GSA is there and they're there to stay. So basically, if you start with the school, that's a good start, but definitely then start getting into your community by doing events with True Colors. Like New Britain High just hosted a GSA summit where they had all the GSAs from the surrounding area talking about things that are going on with their GSA and how things could be fixed and everything like that. So definitely start networking. It's the best thing.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Oh.
I'd just like to say something to all of you. My name is Regina Dighton. I'm the chairperson of the City of Hartford Commission on LGBT issues, and I'm also a poet. And you moved me so much. I wrote something very brief. When I'm tired, I look at y'all, and my life renews itself from its source. Wellspring. I look at you and I see where we have come from. If nothing else, I want to leave you hope. In 1953, when and where I was born, my parents could not vote. We could not pull into a gas station to pee or drink Coke at a counter. By 1959 in New Jersey, I got on a bus, all excited and ready for school. My family in Kentucky was still waiting to vote without the threat of death. No one in my ancestry had ever gone to an integrated school before. In 1969, we protested for girls to have the right to wear pants in school. In 2003, I accompanied 7 queer students to the Hartford Board of Education meeting to speak out against just this issue. By 2004, I was tired and felt nothing would ever come of it. When I'm tired, I look at y'all, and my life renews itself from its source. Wellspring, I look at you and see where we have come from. And if nothing else, I want to leave you home.
Thank you so much for that poem. You?
Hi, I'm Justin Porter, and I've been interning with True Colors this year. And I know that a lot of the discourses and prejudice that end up exhibiting themselves in high schools oftentimes come from the media, and they also can come from home. I want to know if any of you have any pieces of advice for any parents that may be in the room or that may be watching this at some point.
How to answer that? Oh, Grady?
Yeah, just quickly, I think one of the most important things about this issue is that it's not just a school issue in terms of parents do often end up when their child, son or daughter, come out, forcing their child out of their house, which is a crime, and it happens often in the GLBT community here in America. One of the things I think we all need to remember is that, you know, a child is a child. We may not always understand why our child feels certain ways, especially when you grow up in a different time. But we've got to remember that a child is a child, and also we've got to remember when you see someone getting bullied, or when you hear of someone getting bullied, that is someone's child, and no one's child deserves that hate that they feel. So parents need to be able to have a conversation with their kids about sexual orientation, and they need to remember that today, you know, we've all grown up in different generations. As this lady here just told us about, you know, her parents weren't allowed to vote, and now we have an African American president. Things change, and it's important that we have a discussion about the changes we all face. A few years ago, not too many people were coming out of the closet, never mind coming out of the closet in middle school or high school. So things are changing, and it's about time that the dinner table become a place where families can have an open conversation about it.
Joey, yes. Thank you.
When I was in Mississippi, I lived in a house that was unsupportive, and I was out. I was out to my friends, I was out to my family, but it was still horrible. Even though I felt the relief of being out and being myself, I was abused and all this other stuff. So one night, I got the courage to leave. I packed my bags and I just left. I called my mom, who was up here, and she called my grandma, and they got me a bus ticket. When I was on that bus, I felt so good. And I was alone. I was riding a Greyhound all the way up to Connecticut, and I felt wonderful. And that disturbed me. That I felt so good leaving home, that really disturbed me. And I didn't know that I was actually leaving to just come into another unsupportive family and house. My mom, my real mom, didn't know I was gay. I opened up to her just a month ago, and now I face constant comments from my mom, you know, saying I'm going to hell and I'm going to burn, I'm disgusting, perverted, a disgrace. And I can take that from people, you know, at school, but your parents, your family, they're supposed to support you. So the only thing I could say to parents out there who have a son or a daughter with an alternate preference, orientation, whatever you call it, all I can say is to, you know, hang in there, research, you know, that's your child. It's not like they got a bad grade on a report card, you punish them. It's not like that. You know, it's just not, it can't be controlled. So, you know, they just have to deal with it because they're not going to change it.
Okay, Hannah?
I'm sorry. I think for parents the most important thing is to stay accepting and stay open-minded. I had someone describe to me how they came out to their parents and their mother said to them, well, I still love you. Why would their orientation have any weight on the amount of love that she was going to give me? I mean, for anybody's parents. Why should I have to worry if she's still going to love me? Shouldn't she love me regardless because I'm her child? So that was really profound to me when I heard that, and really sort of weighty to me. And I find the most important thing is just open-mindedness and the ability to support your child regardless of what's going on with them. So I can't stress enough just to support and try to understand. Let your child have a voice. Thank you.
Arisha?
Well, technically, me speaking right now, I'm basically coming out to my mom. And my mom, she does have, like, hints about it. And I don't think my mom will ever be accepting, and I don't understand why. And I live in a really strict Jamaican household, so it's everything. It's men and women. Men and women should do this. It's very strict, and it hurts because I know that when I go home and when my mom sees this, I probably won't have a family, and that's hard. My mom and my family and my brothers, they will never understand like who I really am. And if you want to see, you don't want to see your child right here and crying because you're not going to be accepted. Just love your child and just understand that it's not their fault that they're like this, and it's not their fault that God made them the way they is. And to understand God made them, you made them, and that it should always be a child. And I just hope that if my mom hears this, that she will understand. So just understand your child and love your child, regardless.
Thank you for all those questions and answers. I'd like to reintroduce our opening speaker, Chelsea Jenkins.
Again, we would like to thank everyone for being here. We would like to thank all the panelists for speaking and telling their stories, sharing their experiences. Now we leave the question up to you. How, as students, teachers, administration, faculty, parents, how are you going to make the change?